You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.
Hubbard's drive deep to left field. Going back choice. Looking up. See ya. 3,000. History.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble! This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the man. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Yes. We are back. We took a whole day off.
A hiatus.
We had a little hiatus. I happened to be on vacation. We went to New Hampshire for a couple of days to go enjoy a lake and some water tubing, and some people were water skiing and all that kind of stuff, which is a lot of fun. I had a blast.
Very nice.
I went there for a few days with another family, and my son and his best friend got to play a lot.
Yeah, so you were on like a boat, weren't you?
Yeah, we were on a little like speedy boat. Not a speed boat, but it was fairly fast, and it was fun. I did the tubing. Holy cow, that was so much fun. It was such a blast.
Yeah, I would not do well with that.
Yeah,
I'd be flying all over the lake.
Oh man, it was. If we had more time, I probably would have tried water skiing. I would have failed miserably, and I would have loved to see the pictures. But and I'm sure everybody else would have loved to see the pictures. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Water skiing, like regular skiing, I've tried once. Didn't take either time. Never went back.
See, I skied for the first time this past year, and when I skied, it was touch and go at the beginning. I actually fell on my face at one point in time. I had a nice mark all over my face from slamming my face into the snow, but eventually got it down enough so that I could go down the hill and not fall, and at a decent speed. So it was fun.
I tumbled down a bunny slope in the Poconos, and I was like, yeah, this just isn't for me. I mean, I'm like the one guy who could probably hit a tree even if there wasn't one in sight. Like, I'd find it.
Yeah.
So
I was more nervous because we went to the place in Powder Ridge in Middletown. I was nervous that I was going to run into like those big concrete columns or those steel columns. That's what I was nervous about. I was like, I wouldn't be able to survive that. I'm sure I would just shatter into a million pieces. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about today. We got obviously NFL picks,
skiing related.
AFC. We're going to be talking about the AFC West and all that, AFC, all the divisions. We're going to give our picks, what we think their records might be, and maybe there'll be some surprises in there. Who knows? We'll if you guys have any questions, go ahead or if you have any thoughts on the particular division we're talking about, go ahead and submit it in the comments below, and we will try and post them as much as possible on live on the feed. And then, but more importantly, this is Sports and Sorts, episode 102. We got a great show today. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Shane Moore, and the Bri Man.
Yeah, that's me, the Bri Man.
The Bri Man is the other
You just
host.
introduced me.
The Bri Man,
don't
and not only that, but he also recently turned 41.
I did.
How does it feel to not be 40 anymore? Like
Yeah,
I just
fine.
turned 40.
I don't care. 40s didn't bother me. I think I've told you before. The only thing that bothered me was turning 30. 40, basically 40 through 49 are irrelevant.
Oh, okay.
I mean, at this point, I'm just happy to have them.
What about when you turn 50? Are you going to freak out?
I don't know. I really think 30 is the worst. 30 bothered me so much. I just wanted to crawl into a hole in the fetal position and just rot.
Wow.
I wanted nothing to do with 30. But then, 40, I didn't care. I didn't care last year.
See, I'm more nervous about 50. I'm more nervous about 50 because I'm like, okay, It's official. More than half my life is over.
Yeah. Well, I actually feel that way about myself now. I mean, I actually would probably sign up for 82. I don't think I'm getting there.
Anyway, you can find the show, Sports and Sorts. You can find it anywhere podcasts are played, iHeartRadio, TuneIn. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Shane and the Bri Man. You can find us on Twitter @Shane and Bri Man. Email us at shaneandthebryman@gmail.com. You can, basically anywhere podcasts are played, you can find us, plus those social media sites. We also post our stuff on YouTube. We don't have a technical link yet, but or a technical name for our page, but you can find us on there as well. I try and post all these shows on there after the fact. Eventually, we'll be doing the best of. That'll be kind of there when I have more time to edit. But you can also find us at www.sportsandsorts.libsyn. That's LIBSYN.com, where you can find all of our podcasts from all from the past. You can find every single one is there. All right, so let's get into our picks. We'll start off with the AFC West. You guys have any picks that you want to throw out there? Obviously, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Chiefs, Broncos. Those are the teams that are in the West. If you want to submit yours in there and give us your reason for the picks, go ahead and do it. We will try and read some of the ones on air. But I'm going to start off. I'm starting off right away. And we're going to go number one. We'll go number 1 to number 4. And I will just run through mine, and then you can run through yours. All right? So what I'm going to say here is I have the Chargers leading the charge here. At 10-6, I have them going 10-6 in this division. I think they are going to go away with. I think when you have Phillip Rivers, I have always loved Phillip Rivers. I think that he has got a team to be reckoned with this year. I think he actually has a legit team to go around him. Last year, they suffered a bunch of losses due to kickers not being able to make field goals, and I do not expect that to happen again this year. I think that this team is just too good. They're both on offense and defense. They have a couple of pass rushers that are going to light Joe Pacento. Just puts Fire Cashman. As usual, got to give that in a like because he always puts that in there, and that's just hilarious.
We're not there yet, Joe.
Yeah.
But
between Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa, I feel like this team is going to – each one of those guys are going to have 12-plus sacks. They're going to be constantly putting pressure on the quarterback. And then you have a very good, very solid offensive team, good offensive line. You have the quarterback, like I said, Phillip Rivers, who I love, and I love his passion for the game. And dude has more kids, so he needs to make sure that he can keep that career going so he can put the food on the plates. He's got like 47 kids. But anyway, so I have them leading the charge at number 1, going 10-6. I have the Chiefs in second at 9-7. And basically that's because they have a new quarterback. I'm not really sure what we're going to get out of Patrick Mahomes. I really like the kid, and I really want to see him succeed. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. He does really well in the media. Got a cannon for an arm, possibly the greatest arm you've ever seen in the NFL. And my biggest complaint is that with having a quarterback that you're not sure of, is basically his rookie season. That's gonna kind of hurt them going forward, and I don't think they're gonna be leading. I don't think they're gonna be leading the way like they usually do in this division, or they're up there. I think they're gonna fall back to 9-7, and they might not even make the playoffs this year. And then I have going 8-8. I have the Raiders going 8-8, and I'm just not buying into Gruden yet. I have not really seen much that I've thought has been positive going into this season from him. Him and his lackluster communication with Khalil Mack, which is discouraging to say the least. But they do have a very top-tier quarterback, Derek Carr, and I feel like he's going to help them out. I feel like Jordy Nelson, I don't know if he's going to be as good as he was with Aaron Rodgers, but I can't say that he's going to be a big step back. I think he's going to be a very solid receiver to help them out, and they already have a good receiving core as it is. So I have a feeling that they're going to probably fall around 8-8, and I just think it's going to take a while for Gruden to get a hold of this team and actually see if he can still coach in this league. I mean, he's taken so many years off. It's going to be interesting to see. And then I have at 6-10 the Denver Broncos. I don't see them being very good. I just can't see it. I mean, their offensive line is terrible. They have a good defense, but even that isn't quite as good as it has been in the past. And I just, with the addition of Case Keenum, I feel like this is just, wash, rinse, repeat. This is the same thing they do every year. They get these below average quarterbacks, and Case Keenum was a below average quarterback. With the Vikings, he had so much offensive talent to surround him with, and they had a top tier defense. So it was like his defense was constantly putting him in good scoring position, and his offense could bail him out because they were so good all around that in Denver, I just see them going 6-10. They might even be worse than that this year because I just don't think Case Keenum is as good as we saw last year. So those are my 4 picks in the AFC West. Who do you got?
Well, our orders are the same here.
Ooh.
We've got the same 4 teams.
All right.
Records are a little different, but I don't know that really matters. I've got the Chargers in first. They're the team to beat, and they're the team to beat like by a long shot in that division.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think they're winning this division by a couple of games, and I don't even know if it's going to really feel that close because the only thing that bothers me so much about the Chargers this year is they're going to make the playoffs. They are going to be a good team. I do have them at 10-6 as you do, but I feel like this is going to be one of those what might have been years for them because they have suffered 2 really excruciating season-ending injuries already just in OTAs. That of Hunter Henry, tight end, their young tight end, and you're on mute, by the way. And then
I'll repeat, that's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. And then the other one that's maybe just as brutal, if not more, is again the loss of Jason Verrett, starting cornerback. I mean, these were like linchpins of your offense and your defense, and those are just really, really, to coin your phrase, brutal losses. Mm-hmm. Really, really tough. I don't think they're the kind of losses that prevent you from not winning the division because I think, again, as we pointed out, what they're looking down at, what they have in the rearview mirror, isn't really all that much that's going to scare you. And I still think they win this division pretty easily despite those injuries. But look, Phillip Rivers still has a really good receiving core. Keenan Allen, I expect him to have another breakout year. I expect Melvin Gordon to have another big year. My question is, what are they going to do at tight end? Because I think right now it's Virgil Green. I mean, I think they toyed around with the idea of bringing back Antonio Gates. I mean, at this point, why not?
Yeah, you have to.
You
almost have to.
Maybe they did already. I'm not even sure. But I mean, that's got to be on their radar. But yeah, I like their defense. I love Joey Bosa. Travis Benjamin. It's a good team. They have a good team there. And I think given, again, some of the lackluster competition in the division, I just think this is going to be an easy walk for them. So in second, like you, I've got the Chiefs. I've got them at 8-8. I think Patrick Mahomes is one of those guys he's going to drive you nuts. It's going to be a total love-hate relationship all year. Because he's going to throw picks. He throws a deep ball. Listen.
I can't wait to see that. I just can't wait to see that one ball that he throws 80 plus
like
yards.
70 yards in the air.
Yeah.
And he gets, and that's where you're gonna see him hit Tyreek Hill on a bomb over the middle that might go 72 yards in the air, and you're gonna be like, holy cow, this guy is legit. And then, on the next drive, he might try and throw another bomb. He'll underthrow it, and it'll get picked. It'll be a jump ball, and it'll get picked. That's going to happen a lot with him this year, and you have to expect that. Every great quarterback, even in their rookie year, has had struggles. Peyton Manning, one of the greatest of all time, was a pick-throwing machine. It's going to happen. He's going to throw picks. Defenses are going to, they're going to realize his strengths.
Interceptions aren't that bad. They're not that bad. It just shows that you're taking risks, and if you're good, you're going to eventually correct that. And
maybe not.
There'll be a more,
His picks actually may serve more like punts, especially because of how deep he can throw. So you're right. In his case, they might not be so bad, but I'm willing to bet you that his his pick to TD ratio is probably pretty close. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if those, if that was a push on those numbers.
It might be a little higher on the interception rate. It could be. Yeah.
It could. It's hard to say. But I think, look, you're going to live, you're going to have growing pains there. Okay. Yeah. And I think that fits in perfectly with, having an 8-8 team. That's still a tough place to go into and win a game. The 12th man in that stadium is, right up there with the Seahawks. It's a really tough building to go in and win. And I do think that their defense will give them enough. And I think, they'll get enough offense from, they've got a great running back set up there with Kareem Hunt. I still think they have like Charkandrick West or something as like a backup, but they've got a good running back situation there. Obviously, you've got Tyreek Hill. I do think losing Albert Wilson, who is now on the Dolphins, might be a little bit of a blow to them, because I think he's one of those guys you'll miss me when I'm gone kind of guys. Mm-hmm. Because now I think teams can really kind of focus on Tyreek Hill, but this is also Tyreek Hill's chance to really shine too. So. And then, of course, you've got arguably the best tight end in the game in Travis Kelce there. So the weapons are still there. I think Alex Smith is going to be solid, but I think it's going to be 8-8 solid.
Okay.
The Broncos and the Raiders, I've got both of them at 6-10. I've got the Raiders winning via tiebreaker, coming in third via tiebreaker, as if that means anything. But I do worry, like you do, similar to your concern, that John Gruden has been out of this league for a long time. And while I do not believe the game has passed him by, but that remains to be seen. But I just think that, look, you're basically bringing this guy back, and he's starting fresh with a completely different team, completely different personality. The NFL is very different now from when he left too, Mm-hmm. The one thing that worries me a little bit about Gruden is that he does seem to be alienating some of his players a little bit. I actually saw an article yesterday about the possibility of them trading Khalil Mack, and I'm thinking to myself, what? Yeah, you can't even entertain that thought. That's arguably your best player.
Yeah.
Him and Derek Carr are your best players. I mean, you can't.
And you could easily make a conversation.
I think you could make an conversation that Mack is the best player on the team.
Yeah.
To me, I get Derek Carr as the face of the franchise because he's the quarterback. But Khalil Mack is the heart and soul of that team.
He's the quarterback of your defense. I mean, it's
I mean, just even stories like that, even though that's not going to happen, but just the fact that even something like that gets out there because Gruden may have some kind of an issue one way or another, that's just not good. That's not the kind of thing you want to hear at this point before you even get to before you've even taken a snap in a preseason game.
Yeah.
And then look, the Broncos. I mean, what is there to be impressed with? What is there to even like about the Broncos? I actually do like Case Keenum. I think, as you recall, last year I was kind of a Case Keenum guy. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Their defense is it's taken a hit. Von Miller is going to get older. He's not getting younger. Aqib Talib is gone. But even if Aqib Talib was there, he's still an older guy. Yeah. I mean, look, at some point, the Broncos, to me, yes, they got their quarterback, but I don't know that they got like the quarterback that is really going to be the guy that can take them to the next level. I like Case Keenum. I don't know, but when you consider the situation he had in Minnesota with all the weapons that he had, he was set up to succeed. Yeah. I don't think he's set up to succeed here in Denver, and that concerns me.
I mean, they have Chubb and Von Miller. I mean, those two guys are going to get a lot of sacks, put a lot of pressure. But yeah, it's going to be a rough go for them.
Yeah.
Their quarterback. You're obviously higher on Case Keenum than I am, but
I'm not that high on him because I've still only got them at 6-10.
Yeah, well, that's just because their overall team. I mean, their offensive line is terrible. I mean, he's going to be under so much pressure, and it's just going to be ridiculous. And his offensive weapons are nowhere near what he had in Minnesota.
I don't know who their left tackle is, but you better hope he's really good at protecting the blind side. Have problems.
They're like, I don't know. They're at least probably in the bottom quarter of the league for offensive line, because it's going to be brutal for them. All right, let's go ahead on over to the AFC North. I think this is kind of the easiest division of them all. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Chris Boswell. Yes, I added in the kicker because he is super clutch. This guy has multiple game winners last year, and just in the AFC East, as a Bills fan, I know the importance of a kicker, and that you have that Scott Norwood
wide right.
It's brutal, but also being in the AFC East, we both know by watching the Patriots win for lots of years. They have a lot of those wins from Adam Vinatieri. And, you need a good kicker to go on, and that's what I'm talking about right here is Boswell is very important to this team. Now, the Steelers, they are super talented everywhere on offense, particularly on offense. On offense, it's star-studded everywhere. Like, you can just throw it to anybody, and you got, like, almost an all-pro receiver to throw to. I mean, it's just going to be an incredible season to watch for the Steelers. The problem is with them is their consistency. I have them going 13-3 this year because I just feel like in this league, there is no team that's really going to step on their throats. Like, the only thing that's going to beat them is what always beats them, and that's themselves and their consistency.
Yeah.
It happens over and over and over again, and that's just a Mike Tomlin thing. He has a hard time being consistent. If this was like a Bill Belichick-led team, or even like there are many coaches in the league that I feel like that could take this team to the next level and win 14-plus games, but Mike Tomlin is not that guy just because he's so incredibly inconsistent. I don't think he does a good job of like focusing, getting that team to focus. Brian, Joe wants you to text him when you stop talking the NFL. He said he'd rather hear about the WWF.
You know, it's funny. I think Joe actually might be turning into a closet wrestling fan because
he just said WWF though. I mean,
because what happens is like every time the Yankees start losing on the group texts, I immediately say, "All right, well, time to turn wrestling on." And Joe's starting to do it too. I think he actually might be a wrestling fan.
That's awesome.
Joe, if I've sucked him in, that's great.
Oh, and my mother-in-law just says hello. So hi.
Hello.
Hi. So anyway, we have I have in second place. I have the Ravens going 8-8. This is like just one of those divisions that's just very weak this year. So I think that's going to help the Ravens out a little bit. And I say this year because I think next year it's going to be a little different. I think next year we're going to start seeing some things turn. But this year, I think that the Ravens, Joe Flacco getting the pressure from the young backup, Lamar. Is that what his name is? Lamar? Is it Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the guy I wanted the Dolphins to get.
I have a feeling that because of the pressure from him, he's going to perform. And I think that will end up making his team about 8-8, which isn't great, but it's good enough to keep him in the lineup. I think he will have
Flacco and Lamar Jackson do not like each other.
No, not at all, and rightfully so. I mean,
I don't blame Flacco.
Yeah. So I just feel like that team right there he's going to finish in second place, but it's not going to be because they're great or anything. It's just because the rest of the division is kind of lackluster. And I have in third place, I have the Browns going 7-9. Yes, I have them winning 7 more games. I love this team except their quarterback, both on offense and defense. I think this team.
You don't like Baker Mayfield? He's actually doing pretty well so far.
But he's not going to start the season. He's not.
Yeah, I know.
Probably game like 4 or 5, maybe 6. He'll probably start because I think Tyrod Taylor. He's not the guy that's going to get you wins. Like, he's not going to go out there and get you wins. He's a manager. He will manage the game if you have the lead. And he won't really lose it for you because the guy doesn't throw any interceptions because he doesn't take any chances. And he has good legs too, so he can get out of trouble and won't
even
turn
though
the ball over.
Even though you hate him and you think he's like Captain Mediocre.
He is mediocre. And that's what he is. He's a manager. He's a good game manager, and that's it. So
he's Ryan Tannehill with better legs. And probably a slightly bigger arm.
Yeah, well, I don't know about bigger arm, but
Tannehill's got a big arm.
He doesn't. He's also small too. Tyrod Taylor's small. So I have the Browns going 7-9 this year. I think they're going to be an extremely improved team, and I think that this is going to be a team to watch going forward. I think that they're going to start fighting with the Steelers, depending on how that team shake out, because they might not have Le'Veon Bell. They might not have Le'Veon Bell anymore after this coming year. So, and then we'll go to Cincinnati. I mean, if there was a definition. If there was actually a team that defines the word meh, it is the Cincinnati Bengals. Between quarterback, the only guy who doesn't really, that doesn't really define him is AJ Green. Everybody else is just garbage. Like, they're just mediocre. The coach, I feel like this is a coach that should have been fired 3 years ago because his team was just not performing under him. And he's been there way too long. They need to get him out, get some new blood in, and preferably a guy with an offensive mind to kind of really right the ship. Because I don't think Andy Dalton is going to be all that great, but with an offensive-minded coach, he could be better. So as of right now, I feel like Steelers first, 13-3, Ravens 8-8, Browns 7-9, Cincy 5-11. What you got?
We're close. We've got the last two swapped. Okay. I've got Steelers 11-5. This division is a complete disaster.
11-5. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're still going to win. That's still going to be good enough to win this division by 3 games, though. So, I mean, that's because I've got the Ravens at 8-8, just like you do. My only concern with the Steelers. Ben is getting a little bit older. Again, they're still going to win this division in a walk. This might actually be, other than the AFC East, this might be the easiest division as far as, in terms of distance between the first and second teams. Mm-hmm. It could actually be the first if it goes more your route and they end up 13-3. But I just don't. I don't see any scenario here under which, despite whatever issues the Steelers may have, maybe getting a little bit older, maybe having a pretty unhappy Le'Veon Bell, although Le'Veon Bell is going to be very happy next year regardless of where he ends up. But that's the other thing too, though. I do sort of see a lot of this is so dependent on Roethlisberger, because if he's the Ben of old, then they probably will win 13 games, because with the weapons that guy has, especially at receiver, when you've got Brown and you've got Juju on, opposite sides, okay, and then you've got the monster, the 400-touch monster behind you in Le'Veon Bell. I mean, they're going to score. That's still a fantasy stud team. Mm-hmm. But I just, I've never really been sold on their defense. Missing a guy like Shazier is a big deal.
It is a big deal, yeah.
I mean, that's, that guy wasn't just a really good player, but he was the heart and soul of your team, your defense too. So, I'm sure he'll be there. Of course, he'll be there, in spirit, emotionally. He'll be there physically, and that'll give a lift, I'm sure, to the defense. But they're going to need that, because personnel wise, they're a little bit short there now.
Okay.
But listen, still very good team, still easily going to go 11-5, still easily a playoff team. The Ravens, again, I'll transition to them. I'm with you. I've got them at 8-8. I think there's trouble brewing on that team, between Flacco and Lamar Jackson. I do expect Flacco, like you, to step up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And maybe that tension could end up being a good thing. It could be a positive. I don't know. Either way, though, that's nothing more than an 8-8 team. Yeah. There's just nothing. There's nothing on that roster that says to me, "Wow, the Ravens are."
They could be.
They're on the up and up. Yeah. They're on the up and up. Right. Now, actually, what's ironic though, and I haven't really thought about this in terms of how it all shakes out with the playoffs. They could be at 8-8, a playoff team though.
It's true. It's true.
Because I'm looking at these here, and I have records, and I didn't really think of, okay, well, who are my two? I mean, as we go through this, you'll see one of my teams is clearly going to be a wild card team, but I don't really know who the other one is, because the options that I'm looking at right now are 8-8 teams. So it's either going to be them or it's going to be the Chiefs as my second wild card team. But anyways, my bottom two, Bengals and Browns, I've got the Bengals at 7-9. I'm actually even surprised I went 7 on them, because they are just, that roster is just a big heaping mess.
It is. It's brutal.
And I can't stand their coach. I can't stand their coach at all.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I've given them 7 wins, to be quite honest. I really don't. Maybe it's just because maybe in that division with the Ravens and the Browns, they'll find ways to eke out a couple of wins there, and then
those bottom 3 teams are just going to kind of beat up on each other a little bit. And since it always seems to get close or come like to beating the Steelers once,
I think I'm almost conditioned to the Bengals basically being somewhere between 7-9 and 9-7. So that's why I think I gave them that record. And then I've got the Browns at 6-10. Now look, this is not a bad thing. That's going from 0 wins to 6 wins.
Yeah.
That is a significant jump. And if they were to actually end up second in this division, it would not surprise me. Not in the least. And that is actually why, and maybe now that maybe the best thing to do is start Tyrod Taylor, even if Baker Mayfield has a great camp and he really looks good in OTAs, and even if he looks great in the preseason games, maybe Taylor is the way to go. Because if you're the Browns, you've got to be looking at this AFC maybe the way we are, because you and I, let's face it, we're borderline geniuses here. So if you're looking at the rest of the AFC the way we are, you could legitimately have an 8-8 team that gets into the playoffs very, very easily in this AFC. So top-heavy. It's as top-heavy a conference as you could possibly have in sports right now.
Right.
Because to me, there's basically 3 teams, and then you've got kind of the Chargers in there, and but if you're the Browns, you could go 8-8 and make the playoffs. So you almost do actually have to think maybe a little bit conservatively if you're them. So, but that's how I've got it. But I still have them at 6-10. Look, there's going to be some great moments for the Browns. They've got some. I can't tell you I don't like their offense, because I really do. I mean, I do. Them having Jarvis Landry and Josh Gordon, to me, those are 2 really complementary wide receiver pieces. And Jarvis Landry, everything I know about him, he's going to fire that team up. He'll be the emotional leader of that offense for sure.
He's good.
And he is, nobody's caught more passes in the league than him over the past few years. So he's going to get his catches regardless of who the quarterback is. That's going to be a great safety valve for that quarterback. And then you've got Josh Gordon, who, as long as he's right
mentally
and as long as he can stay off the pot, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. But he'll put up
Facebook.
Yeah,
we're on the Facebook Live
or the Twitter. Yeah, whatever. I just think that I think there are a lot of good things about to start. There's a lot of good that's about to start happening in Cleveland, but you're at
least a year away.
We're at least a year.
Yeah.
Let's not go there yet, because let's see how things shake out with this quarterback situation.
Keith Sherry had posted that he feels like Tyler Eifert is not too bad either, and that's very true.
No, but his question is health.
Yeah.
It's health.
And that's something that you and I had to deal with. We were in a podcast, fantasy football podcast league, and we picked him, and it was like, great, he's healthy. Oh, now he's not healthy.
And when he was healthy, he gave you what you were looking for.
Put up solid numbers. The problem is his health.
He was basically a touchdown waiting to happen.
He needs a good quarterback. That's what he needs. And that will help. Not only will it help.
You say that about a lot of tight ends, but yeah.
Not only will it help with his numbers, but it also help with him not getting hurt as much. Because when your quarterback is accurate and throwing to you in the windows that he has to throw to, you're going to not get hurt as much.
Yes.
So and that's just how that goes. All right. Let's move on to. Do you want to start off with the next one?
I'll start. Sure. What are we doing? South or East?
South.
Okay.
South. Yeah, we're going to do the East, AFC East last.
Okay.
All right, go.
Well, we're not saving the best for last, I can tell you that.
No.
That's
but it's kind of more, it's very localized because, obviously the Patriots are in the division.
Sure.
And we have my team.
We've got my team.
Your team.
Yeah.
Yes. So we'll a lot of commiserating, and then we'll also commiserate more with probably both picking the Patriots this year.
I will be a little bit surprised if our 1 through 4 are not the same in the AFC South. Maybe our 2 and 3s might be different.
Okay.
But I've got the Jags winning the division at 11-5. They took that step last year.
Wow.
Theoretically, they should have been in the Super Bowl. They were a couple of plays away from being in that Super Bowl, from playing the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Their defense is stout. The biggest thing for me, now you're on year 2 of Leonard Fournette, which you have to expect for him to take the next step too in his evolution as a running back, and to really become that dual pass catching threat that you saw at LSU. You really want to see him take the next step there. I like the receivers. My biggest concern is Blake Bortles. To me, he is like the Jag
of the Jaguars.
Sort of. He is sort of just another guy. He is like the epitome of a game manager to me. But like I still see Blake Bortles on that. I know I know if the Jaguars were very supportive of him. They had his back last year. The players really had his back last year.
Yep.
But the truth is that he's just a caretaker at best. To me, I look at Blake Bortles and I'm like, that's what I want my backup quarterback to be.
Yeah.
Is Blake Bortles. I'm sorry, but he is not. I just don't look at him and say, wow, that's one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the world. I don't. He might be one of the 40 best quarterbacks in the world. But like when you look at a team like the Jags, I still just don't see how they didn't go all in for Kirk Cousins. I still don't to me, that would be the difference between them pushing the Patriots versus beating the Patriots. Because again, as good as the Jags are, how have they gotten better? Like who's the guy that you can point to on the roster that says, okay, now they're hosting the AFC Championship game in Jacksonville and they're beating Brady? I don't see it. I still don't see it. Do I think they're the best team in this division? Yes. By a long shot? No. Because my second team is the Titans. And I think the Titans at 10-6 are my first wild card team. That's going to be a tight division. I think there's going to be some back and forths. I think you're finally going to see Marcus Mariota take that next step that he needs to take to become, let's not call him an elite quarterback, because elite to me, there's like a handful of those guys. But to really, really be at the top of that second tier, I think you're going to finally maybe get there with Marcus Mariota. And I like their defense too. And I think the Titans are also pretty well coached. So I like them at 10-6. At 8-8, I've got the Texans. And I think, look, I wanted to go higher with the Texans. Like I wanted to go 9-7 or maybe even have them at 10-6 too, because I'm just so in love with Deshaun Watson. But here's the thing with Deshaun Watson. He got hurt. Okay. He missed a lot of last year. Mm-hmm. Now he's starting over again. So don't expect that dynamo that you saw when he first started, broke into the league, put up crazy numbers, really injected incredible life into that team. As great a story as that was, and I do expect that I expect his career arc to sort of go that way. For the purposes of this year, I still, you're going to take time. You got to build back up towards that. He's not going to come back, set the world on fire, and they're going to just win that division. That's not going to happen. Right. They're going to have their struggles with him, and maybe in a similar way that you might have had with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, yes, Deshaun Watson has a little bit more experience under his belt, but he's still a young guy and he's still going to make mistakes. And look, he does have good personnel. I mean, some people in the league will tell you he has the best receiver in the league in DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins will tell you he's the best receiver in the league for sure. He may have a case. He's up there for sure. He's absolutely up there.
Top five. He's top five.
Without a doubt, he's top five. But I still love that video clip. You ever see that video? I think it was him. He's talking to they're playing the Cardinals and it's before the game. And I think one of the coaches goes up to him. And one of the I don't even know what coach it was on the Cardinals. It wasn't the head coach, but I think it was like one of their coordinators. Goes up to DeAndre Hopkins and he's like, yeah, I was just telling one of my guys, he's like, I think you're the best receiver in the league. And DeAndre Hopkins goes, yeah, I know. So DeAndre Hopkins has a pretty high opinion of himself.
He does not lack ego.
No, and he's a great player. And you know what? Look, they still have their linchpin in defense and J.J. Watt. The Texans are still they're going to be like one of those teams that you don't want to play because they've got weapons and they can't hurt you. But I think over the grind of a 16-game season, I see them winning as many as they lose. Okay. Because I worry a little bit about their depth, and they're one injury away from being like a 4-12 team. Speaking of 4-12 teams. That's where I've got the Indianapolis Colts.
Wow.
Because guess what, Andrew Luck? This is not I was going to say this isn't your father's AFC South. This is not your twin brother's AFC South. Since you've been gone, all these other teams have gotten exponentially better and the Colts have not. They are bad. And also, here's the other thing. What Andrew Luck are we going to see this year? What's he even going to be? The guy's barely touched a football in 2 years. I mean, look, there was a time when it was him, Tannehill, RG3, Russell Wilson. We're looking at this as being like one of the greatest quarterback classes ever. Now Russell Wilson is clearly the cream of that crop. And we don't even know, like we thought for sure Andrew Luck was going to be, I mean, I don't know. I don't even want to tell you something. Not only did I think he was going to be a Hall of Famer, I thought he was going to be, I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say what I thought he was going to be.
All-time great.
Yes. And maybe like the greatest. Because that's how much I thought of him. His game was so fully developed by the time he was out of Stanford and ready to break into the league. He was to me like the surest possible thing you could have. And now we have no idea what he's going to bring to the table. And on top of that, his supporting cast sucks. That's a 4-12 team. Bad. There's only one team in the league that I think in the AFC that's going to have a worse record than them, and we'll get to that soon.
All right. Well, we are not on the same page in the AFC South. Like, not even close. I have, leading off the charge, I have the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans winning with a record of 11-5.
What?
Now, the start of their season could get a little could go one of two ways. They get to play the Pats right out the get-go. Pats never start off the year good. So that could be a win. That's going to be tough. And they don't play well against quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson. And then they play against the Titans, who I don't have the Titans being anywhere near as good as you have. And then they have the Giants. And I think that they will probably lose to the Giants. But then they play the Colts, and I think that they're going to be at the Colts. So they could start the year like 2-2, but they could also start this year 3-1 or 4-0. So it really depends on which kind of Texans team we get, because I'm really hoping to get a full season out of Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, because this team doesn't have a very good O-line, but I feel like that the O-line will be saved by Deshaun Watson's basically mobility. His elusiveness is just going to save that offensive line. And they have a defense who get J.J. Watt back. And if he can stay healthy, that is a huge deal. I mean, he is an all-pro. He is one of the best defenders in the league. And then you have him, and then you have Whitney Merciless, which has a great name. Between those two guys, they could have 30-plus sacks between those two guys. That is a ton of pressure. What?
Are you worried at all, though, about the cumulative effect of injuries to J.J. Watt? And I love J.J. Watt.
No, I mean, in the last 2 years,
he's one of the most likable guys.
Last 2 years, he's only played 8 games.
Yeah,
total.
I mean,
that is something that. But I feel like the fluke has to stop. I feel like this is fluky because someone that's in such good shape as him, it's got to end, and I'm hoping that it ends this year. And that, yes, if J.J. Watt goes down again, now you're looking probably more like a 9-7 team for me. But if J.J. Watt stays healthy, and I can only go on health right now, I'm going to say that team is going to be really good at 11-5. I just feel like this team is going to be absolutely one of the most fun teams to watch. I mean, you have a full season with DeAndre Hopkins. You have a full season with Deshaun Watson. You have a full season with J.J. Watt. This is going to be so much fun on both sides of the ball. It's just going to be very entertaining to watch. So I feel like this is going to be one of those teams that, ESPN is going to hope to have on all their games. NBC is going to hope to have on all their games. Like, they really want to have this team, on the spotlight, just because they're just going to be a lot of fun to watch. I have finishing second. I have the Indianapolis Colts. I have Andrew Luck back and an offensive-minded head coach. This is going to be my boy Frank Reich is the head coach for the Indianapolis Colts, and you got Andrew Luck, who's back, and they say he's going to be 100% healthy. I don't expect it to fully click this year. That's why I have him at 9-7. I feel like next year is going to be the year they're going to take that next step to, perennial. Every year they're going to be in the playoffs. They are going to be a force to be reckoned with. They are going to go deep into the playoffs. I feel like at that point in time, with that head coach, with that quarterback, with the surrounding team that they have, it's going to be, and they're just going to get better. I just feel like they're just going to keep getting better. So I have them this year going 9-7. After that, then we're talking double-digit wins. I have in third place this year, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think you are certifiably nuts.
I think they're going to go 7-9.
Oh my God.
I didn't believe in them last year. I don't believe in them this year. And the reason why I didn't believe in them last year, because this year they're not going to have the luck to face the Colts without Andrew Luck. And they don't have the luxury of facing the Texans without Deshaun Watson. And they went 4-0 against those two teams last year. That's not happening this year. They will be at best 2-2 against those teams. And that takes them from 10-6 to 8-8. And I feel like that their team is not any better, if not, and they are actually worse than they were before because they have no wide receiving help at all, like zero. And this is completely running, but you can stuff the box against Leonard Fournette. They have a good defensive team, but what's that going to do? You're just going to get the ball in decent field position, but not be able to move it anywhere. So I feel like that team, way down. I don't see them even sniffing the playoffs this year. And then I have finishing in last place. I have a 6-10 Tennessee Titans team because they went from a defensive-minded coach with Mike Mularkey to a defensive-minded coach in Mike Vrabel. And Marcus Mariota continues to have terrible luck with their head coach and their offense. So I feel like that team is just going to suffer again because he has the potential to be a good quarterback, but he does not have the help with the upper management and the help with the coaching staff to help him get to that next level.
Can we have a Twitter poll for who do you whose division predictions in the AFC South do you think are going to be more accurate, mine or yours? Because we could not be possibly
further.
Every one of our picks is different.
Yes.
Every one of them. I actually thought we would be completely on the same page with this one.
No, not this time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what makes this show great.
I was actually kind of shocked. I just have no belief. Zero belief in the boy Blake Bortles. I have no faith in him whatsoever.
At first I was going to say I think our AFC East predictions will be the same too, but now I'm not so sure.
All right, so let's get into the AFC East. Do you want to lead off? Do you want me to lead off?
Yeah, I'll lead off. I'll lead off.
All right, there's my 5 minutes up. All right, so there we go.
Stop me if you've heard this before, but the Patriots are going to win the division and go 12-4.
Wow!
And just completely feast on the rest of this feeble excuse for an AFC football division. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a. Let's put it this way: after the Patriots, I do not have a team below them. I don't want to say even near 500, but there's no 500 teams below them in this division. So this division it's not only theirs for the taking, it's just a given that they're going to win it. Yeah, that actually is my second place team.
What?
But still not with even a 500 record. So yeah, this division is so atrocious. And here's the silver lining for me in this one, though, is that as bad as this division is I think it will make the Patriots look better than they are. Because I think once they get into the playoffs, and again, it will be tough because the way I have it set up, the road to the Super Bowl will still go through New England. That being said, I think, again, you're going to have three teams here, though, that could really, even if they had to go on the road and win in New England, I think you've got three teams here that could really, really push them. Between the Jags, the Chargers, and the Steelers. Mm-hmm. All of those teams have firepower, and one of those teams in the Jags probably feels like it's our time to beat them. Not only to push them, but to beat them. We took one step, in the NFL, the story for a lot of teams is always taking those steps, right? Okay, well, we made the playoffs. Next step is to get into and win the divisional round. Then after that, it's to get into the conference championship. Then it's to get to a Super Bowl. And if you're the Jags, you've started to take these steps. That next step for them is to beat the Patriots and go to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying that that's my prediction yet because we're not there yet with that stuff. But my point is though, because I look at the Patriots roster and I think to myself, well, that's another team where I look at and it's just like they're still going to be good because the competition, especially in the division, is so lackluster. But I don't know that they got significantly better anywhere, They lost some pieces, guys like Danny Amendola, who's now in the Dolphins, but I don't think that's going to have much of an impact, to be honest with you. Because the Patriots, that's the other thing with the Patriots, though. The one thing that history has taught us is that despite the fact that they'll lose guys, they can just sort of insert name here guy And they still end up going 12-4, 13-3, 14-2. I mean, it's just at some point, my whole thing with the Patriots is I'm not going to believe that they can't win this division until they actually don't.
Okay.
And that's where I am with them. So they're 12-4. They've still got the mastermind, the evil genius. They've still got the devil himself at quarterback. Nothing's going to change. They're going to win this division. They're going to win it by a landslide. In fact, it's the way I have it. We haven't gone through the NFC obviously yet, but I'd be surprised if I had a gap between the first and second place teams that was this big. This is a 5-game gap because I've got the Bills at 7-9. And
I'll take that.
I mean, and the thing with the Bills is that, again, look at the two teams below them. The Jets and the Dolphins are atrocious. Not to mention the fact that the Bills, they just give the Dolphins fits. If the Dolphins split with the Bills, it's like a big deal as far as being a Dolphins fan anyway. Right. But the Bills seem to own them. And look, I think they'll probably take both from the Jets, and I think they'll probably take both from the Dolphins. I mean, that's 4 wins right there. I mean, that's just because where you are with the Jets, and although the Bills are probably going to be starting a rookie quarterback, right? I mean, is Rosen starting?
No, it's Allen.
Allen, I'm sorry, not Rosen.
I wish it was Rosen's.
Yeah, sorry, I got my Joshes mixed up. Is he starting?
Likely, but they keep going back and forth, but it looks like he's going to be the starter.
Okay, but again, I kind of trust him more than I trust Sam Darnold right now because Sam Darnold, ooh, man, he's I don't know. I've got the Jets going 5-11. There's just where's the talent? Like, where's the talent on that team? It's weird to me. Like, this team has been so bad for so long, and they don't draft well, and I don't know how I feel about Sam Darnold. I don't I think I look at Allen and Rosen and Baker Mayfield, and I think those guys are all superior, in my opinion, to Sam Darnold. I mean, who knows? I could be wrong. Look, I'm the same guy who thought Ryan Leaf was going to be better than Peyton Manning. So take this observation for what it's worth. But look, I've got the Jets at 5-11, and then I have what I have dubbed the historically bad Dolphins at 2-14. They are going to be woefully, dreadfully, heinously bad. Mm-hmm. Just awful. I'm sorry. They lost way too many guys. And don't get me wrong, I kind of like some of the guys that they picked up. I actually like Amendola. I actually like Albert Wilson. But the problem is I would have liked those guys in tandem with the guys that were ahead of them in terms, like a guy like a Jarvis Landry. Like if you had Albert Wilson, Jarvis Landry, Devontae Parker, I would have been like, okay, that's a solid wide receiving unit. But you lost guys. You took dips in areas, and that's just something that, I just don't know. I just don't know that they can. I don't think you can replace that talent. I mean, Ndamukong Suh is as unspectacular as his Dolphins career was. Let's be honest. He still accounted for 2 guys having to take him on defense.
He was one of
who's that guy now?
Defensive player.
Who's that guy now? William Hayes. I like William Hayes, but is William Hayes Ndamukong Suh? Nope. You only need one guy for him. So that's where I'm at.
What did you have the Dolphins at?
2-14.
Oh wow. Okay.
Quote unquote historically bad.
Okay, so I am with you with the first place. I have the Patriots also. I said and I said last year that it was going to be the start of the decline for that team. And last year I felt like they were going to have a good season. I picked them to go 13-3. They went 13-3. But I felt like that was going to be like the last year that they were going to have that dominance. And I feel like this year it's going to be a significantly bigger step downhill. I still have them finishing first in the division, but like you said, it's because of the weakness of this division. They lost.
What's your record?
What's that?
What's your record for them?
I haven't said it yet.
Okay. Sorry.
But they lost a ton of talent this year. They lost Brandon Cooks. They lost Amendola. They lost Dion Lewis. They lost Nate Solder. And they also lost their defensive coach, Matt Patricia. So I feel like this Pats team is the least talented team that they have put out on the field in probably over a decade. And I feel like as of right now, with Brady just getting older, and there were some chinks in his armors last year. Yes, he put up some fantastic numbers, but there were a couple of chinks in his armor. He didn't end up doing.
Didn't he win MVP?
He did. But that Carson Wentz, he went down. He was
Yes,
the front. I have the card right here that you gave
He
me
was
for my birthday.
Yes.
Carson Wentz was the hands down favorite to win that, but then got hurt.
Yeah, he was. You're right.
So anyway,
Can't fault Brady for that though. He still won the award.
Aaron Rodgers also got hurt. There was a lot of really talented quarterbacks that got hurt last year.
Sure.
Brady has a great way of staying healthy because he usually has a good offensive line. He lost Nate Solder. That's not a good thing for him.
He's also a yoga monster.
Yes, he is. He is a yoga monster. So I feel like this team is going to start the decline on a very funny, a kind of a good descent. Like I don't even know if they'll have a winning record next year. But this year I'm predicting them to go 10-6, down from 13-3 last year. I said they would go 13-3 last year. They went 13-3 last year. I predict them to go 10-6 this year.
That's a dip.
That's a big dip. I think it's a big dip. I think you're going to finally see the decline of the Patriots' reign in the AFC East and also just in the AFC in general. And then I have finishing second is the New York Jets. I've been saying for a long time that Sam Darnold is the quarterback in this draft. I think he was the guy, the main guy to really step up and man up and bring a team to the next level. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be consistent this year, but I do feel like having Todd Bowles, who is one of our favorite guys. Let me. I could put the clip out there if you want. I can do.
It appeared that they kicked our ass. And I just know we got our ass kicked. The film will tell that. You don't see signs of getting your ass kicked. You just get a kick.
So Todd Bowles is just a very common force. He's just a very common force, and he gets his team to overproduce. And I feel like having him there, and you have Terrell Pryor. He's one of their receivers, Sam Darnold's receivers. You have Robbie Anderson, who stepped up and did big things last year. I feel like you have some parts in motion there that are going to help that team reach the record of 9-7 this coming year. They are going to be on the verge of being a playoff team.
9-7. You actually have them being a winning team.
I do. I have them being 9-7. I was on the cusp. I was like 8-8, but I was like, you know what?
Moly.
I gave them, because Sam Darnold. I gave them an extra win just for Sam Darnold because I was like, I have to go there, and I feel like the East is such a weak division that they will kind of pile up on the Dolphins and the Bills. Which, finishing in third place, I have the Miami Dolphins going 6-10. Now they are only in third because it's
not historically bad, but it's still bad.
But I have them finishing in third because the Bills are just in their division, and although they lost some players, they also gained Ryan Tannehill. Which I feel like is a pretty big upgrade from Jay Cutler last year. Even though
I can't argue that
Jay Cutler, we both were kind of high on him at the beginning of the year, but it just did not work under the system of Adam Gase. And so I still feel like they're going to be okay to good. They're not going to be, they're going to have moments where Brian's going to come on here crying, sobbing, yelling, screaming after weeks watching them play, because there are going to be times that they're just going to be terrible. But, so I have them finishing 6-10, and then finishing last in the AFC East is my Buffalo Bills. They start off, listen to the first 8 games that they have to go against. They're going at the Ravens, then they're playing the Chargers, then they're going at the Vikings, at Green Bay, then versus the Titans, at Texas, at the Texans, at Colts, and then versus the Patriots. First 8 games of the year.
Wow. That's a legitimate 0-8.
They could literally go 0-8 to start the season. McCoy is likely out for the league out of the season or out. Basically, he might be out of the league.
He may just be done
due to all the accusations that are out there. If they get proven even slightly true, he's out of the league forever. And then right now they have Josh Allen possibly as their starting quarterback, and he is not a very accurate thrower, and that's going to be really difficult to throw him in this league and then have him going with a team that's not that great, who doesn't have a good running back. They're going to put so much pressure on him. Thankfully, he has a big body, so I'll be able to absorb some of the blows. But overall, I just feel like this team could be really, really bad. It's going to be a terrible season. Thankfully, I won't have to watch them much this year, and they're going to probably go, my guess is 3-13. And that's being positive. So I just their defense is good, but it's gonna be pretty
You
brutal.
think your team's gonna be historically bad, and I think my team is gonna be historically bad.
Yeah, I really do. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So, all right, so those are our picks. We have Mike Pacetto saying, "I miss the days of Mike Rozier." Well, what you gonna do? Hey, he's holding is he holding a championship belt? It looks like he is. I wonder if he won it like in a fantasy league.
Oh, Mike Pacetto, no, he actually went. I think he went to some kind of wrestling thing, and
yeah,
that was I think that was the original like NWA belt or something that he's holding in that picture. Yes, that's like before the big ridiculous belt. That was the belt that Ric Flair had, and Dusty Rhodes, and
yeah, that's good stuff. That's
the
nice.
the NWA belt.
NWA. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So that's pretty much it for that part of the show. If you have anything that you want to throw in there for the AFC, any of the divisions in the AFC, go ahead and throw them out there. If we want, we'll try and get them on there before the end of the show. We're going to come back and talk about a couple things about baseball. Brian's got to text Joe so that he can hear us talk about the Yankees real quick, and then we're going to get off after that. We got to talk a little Pirates of the Caribbean. Brian threw something out there on the internet, and it got a lot of positive feedback. So we'd like to hear what you guys have to say, too. All right, so let's hurry up. We're going to go to the Nick and Vince podcast real quick. And if I can find it. Okay, there it is. So we'll play the Nick and Vince podcast, and then we'll be right back after that. All right? See you soon.
Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Vince.
And we're from the Nick and Vince podcast, where we talk about arts, movies,
comic books,
history, science, really anything pop culture related.
But we also have...
we have occasional guests like podcasters, authors, and comedians.
Well, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Podbean.
You can also like our Facebook page, Nick and Vince Podcast, and follow us on Twitter
at Nick and Vince. And now, back to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bri Man.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow, look at you.
you digging it?
Hell yeah.
All right, so we're going to go into a little New York Yankee talk here. I can put all my notes for football aside, and now I can just go off this top. I can go off the cuff now. It's talking the Yankees. Brian's lip sync challenge. So the Yankees. I can even play it. Ready? All right, so the New York Yankees are basically playing for second place.
This team sucks.
It has not been a good couple of weeks. Aaron Judge went down, and they have been playing like a 35% winning team. They have been brutally bad. They're losing to teams, but they kind of played okay against the White Sox.
Oh yay! We beat the White Sox in 13 innings.
They're bad.
Okay.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. But we got the wins. We got to get those wins. Those wins, you got to get them no matter how you get them. Got them. I'm hoping that. I mean, they just said that Aaron Judge is nowhere near close coming back from.
So in other words, that 3 weeks is probably more like 5.
Yeah, it seems like they want to make sure it's 100% healthy. They want to make sure they have him for the long run, going into the playoffs and everything like that.
Yeah, but there's not much of a long run. It's already August.
I know, but I think they're trying to make sure that they have him for the wild card. For that game. They don't want to
for that one game.
They don't want to make sure that they
for that
coin
toss of a game.
They're going to bring him back in the beginning of September, but I think.
Do you want to assume that they're going to even get to that game at this point?
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't want to make that assumption.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, okay. Granted, they have a 6-game lead.
The A's are going to collapse. The A's are going to collapse.
I don't think either of those teams is going to collapse, to be honest. I think they're both, at this point, they're both mid-60-plus win teams. I don't see the A's or Seattle. I don't see that happening.
The A's will not make the playoffs. There's no way.
Not to mention, don't the Yankees actually have to go into Oakland soon?
Yeah.
For, I don't know if it's 3 or 4 games, but that's going to be a big series right there.
Yeah, I don't.
The A's are going to be fired up.
The A's don't worry me at all. I think they're an overachieving team right now, and they are eventually going to be lackluster.
Isn't it
team
hard
like
to
they
be
are.
an overachieving team? I mean, they're 20 games above 500 at this point.
They had a 6-week string where they were the winningest team in baseball. They're just not that good. They're not that good. They are going to come back crashing down to earth.
I would say the same thing about the Yankees. They're not that good. They don't play well. Although I guess
they're missing their best player.
Well, they're missing, him and Sanchez. You know what? Look,
they have 2 bats that they're missing, but they're missing their best player right now, which I would never have thought that Aaron Judge would have been the guy.
Because they went into Boston, okay? Boston didn't pitch Sale. They didn't have Xander Bogaerts for the first 3 games, and they got their asses handed to them.
Yes.
They got completely – and you know what the funny part is? I didn't text it to you just because I didn't want to depress myself anymore while it was happening, but I 100% believed in that 4th game that Chapman was going to come in and blow it. I completely believed it. There was nothing else in my head other than there's just no way he's going to navigate this 9th inning. I didn't see it happen. Everything else that had happened the 3 days before just said, not only are they going to lose this game, but they're going to lose it in excruciating fashion. And they did.
Yeah. It was bad. It was brutal.
And you know what? Here's what I've said about this Yankee team, especially over the past. I think I have called them hopeless, hapless, helpless, gutless cowards. And I kind of believe that because they looked so afraid in that series. They looked afraid of the Boston Red Sox.
There has been a lot of issues with this team going forward, but a lot of it comes back to the hashtag Fire Boone.
Whatever. I mean, you can say whatever you want about Boone, and I don't like Boone, and I do wholeheartedly believe that Aaron Boone has probably cost them, no joke, 6 or 7 games this year. Yeah. But at the same time, the players are the ones out there on the field. Those are the guys. You could sit here all you want and say, well, you take your cues from leadership and stuff like that. But in sports, coaches coach, players play.
Yeah.
The players are the ones out there on the field. Go out there. You know what? You got it handed to you in those first 3 games. You had them with your closer on the mound. In that 4th game, you could have at least salvaged something because let's remember here. Every game you play the Red Sox, it's 2 games. It's a 2-game swing. Yeah. So the difference between winning that game and losing that game was being 9.5 out or being 7.5 out. I don't know that it would have mattered either way, but let's be honest. Losing that game in that fashion, that's the nail in the coffin, and that's the one that says, okay, you are now officially playing for the wild card.
Yeah.
Because even if they had split the series, they could have said, well, we didn't gain, but we didn't lose. We're still 5.5. The division is still, within reach. Mm-hmm. They lost all 4 games. There's no way they're making up those 4 games on top of the other 5.5 that they were already down. So now you're playing again to play in that ridiculous wild card game where it's a total toss-up. And it doesn't matter where that game is. Yankee Stadium, Oakland, Seattle, it doesn't matter. That's a brutal game. We saw it. We were there. You and I were there last year with all these other guys. They were down 3-0 in a heartbeat, and thank God for Didi. But you know what? That magic might not be there again. That team last year was very special. I was telling these guys that I text with that, I really feel like Yankee fans might look back on 2017 as the one that got away because that team was not expected to do any of that. But that's what makes championship runs special sometimes, right? When you have a team that isn't really expected to win, and then they do. I feel like we're going to look back on that as almost like a regret. Like, man, if that team just could have found a way to win that Game 7 against Houston and get to the World Series. Don't get me wrong. It was still last year was still a fun season, but it could have been really special. And I feel like that one got away from us as Yankee fans. And now this year, I feel like they've regressed. Yeah. They're not the same team. They're not fun. They're not nearly as likable.
They are not as good. The coaching has not been as good as it was last year. And we both had our complaints with Girardi. But the thing with Girardi is that he never took gut decisions. It was always calculated.
Yes,
even the risks, they were calculated.
Yeah, I like gut decision managers. I mean, I love Joe Torre.
But Aaron Boone's
I think you need a balance.
Aaron Boone's his gut decisions are terrible.
And here's the one thing, and I don't remember.
The Yankees have bailed him out a lot this year. They have bailed him out a lot.
No, they have. It could have been worse.
It could be a lot worse. They bailed him out a ton this year. And it also goes to show that you have David Cohn who's on live calling calling Aaron Boone out multiple times throughout the year.
And he's like right every time.
Is dead on, because this is a guy who embraces all
right.
the
It's not
stats.
like he's not second guessing it. Like Cohn is saying it as it's happening. Like,
this isn't a good idea. This is how it should be done. And then it comes out and it's like plays out exactly. It's like when watching Tony Romo call the games in the NFL. Like how 60, 70% of the time he's correct. You know, whereas David Cohn calls him out live. And actually, it's proven true. Like, so it's like, that's the guy who I really wanted as a head coach. I mentioned it last year. They kind of shocked everybody with choosing Aaron Boone, who's never coached before. They kind of shocked everybody just using the pedigree because he's got, multiple. Boone is baseball, basically.
Whatever.
His last name. But it's he must just interview really well. And
obviously.
As of right now, I'm not on the Fire Boone, #Fire Boone trend right now, but
I'm not there either.
I have no problem with them letting him go, because I've never been a Boone supporter. I have tried to wait out like half the year. I was going to say by the All-Star break, I will kind of give my rating of him, and it's been a C- this year. It's been bad, but it's not like, but his team's been bailing him out all year. So it's tough to fire a guy who's, almost 30 games over 500.
My biggest, that's the key right there. Is the team is almost 30 games over 500. How do you, although we've seen, there is precedent though for getting rid of guys who win manager of the year. So
somebody's getting fired this offseason. It's going to be either Rothschild or Boone.
Oh, Rothschild's gone. Rothschild's gone.
It's going to be one or both.
I would get rid of Rothschild and replace him. If you want to put Harkey in that position and move Cohn into the bullpen, or if you just want Cohn to be the pitching coach.
Is too smart to be in the bullpen.
Probably. I like Mike Harkey though, but I like Harkey in the bullpen. I'd actually just like to see Cohn get the pitching coach job, and who knows, maybe that's a setup for him to be the head coach. But here's the one thing though, you and I talked about this. We talked about this at the beginning of the season. I don't like Girardi. I didn't like Girardi. I felt like it was time to go, but at the same time, I felt like if you're going to replace him, you better be replacing him with a guy that you know is going to be better. Mm-hmm. You replaced it with a neophyte.
Yeah, it's true. And that we have, Mike Pacetto posted, he said the A's and M's play several head-to-head and will knock each other off at the end of the season.
They might. It's possible. Again, even if you get in that wild card game, though, that's not what you were playing for. If you're the Yankees, you needed to take that next step this year. You and I both predicted them to win the division this year. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to be right back in the same spot. We may be, you and I, in a couple months, may be back in Yankee Stadium again, having to suffer through that one game.
As long as they win, I'm okay.
It's fine if they win, but I hate that. That game is
win and be healthy. That's what I want. Win and be healthy. That's what I want.
Survive in advance? Is it like the NCAA tournament?
Yeah. Exactly.
I guess.
All right.
Well, with that one game, it certainly is. Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.
We are going to move into...
Where do you think you're going? I'm going to sort it out.
Or I guess I could do the...
Swords
side of it. And what that sorts is Brian, go ahead. Tell us what you posted on.
So the announcement was made this week that Pirates of the Caribbean 6 is probably going to happen. It may come to fruition. So I went out there because I have for years been saying to my wife how... Well, I'll tell you what. Let me read you the Facebook post that I put up. Okay, so here's the post. It said Pirates of the Caribbean 6 rumored to be in the works. So here was my comment, which has now thus far garnered 117 likes and 39 comments. I've been saying for years, pretty much to my wife, because she's the only one who can tolerate my babbling, that they should make a Pirates that incorporates Captain Hook. And don't say that's ridiculous. He exists in a fantasy world that's not even remotely related. Who cares? Have you seen some of the ridiculous supernatural elements that have been incorporated into these movies? For my movie pass money, or whatever that's worth these days, I'd like to see Captain Jack square off against the Hook. Got a lot of likes, but more importantly, the comments. There were of the 39, I would say at least 30 to 35 were completely on board with me. And were like, yes, they need to do this. Why not? It would be such a great story. Plus, I think it'd be a really great way to wrap up the franchise because these last few movies have been really bad. Mm-hmm. And I just think that would be a really great way to wrap up the franchise. What do you think?
I like the idea. I think that the Pirates movies to me are kind of jumping the shark anyway. So if you're going to do that, you might as well pull from other parts of your universe to continue it. And sure. I think that bringing Captain Hook in could potentially bring it back. Not to the jumping the shark side of things anymore and kind of making it a little bit better, a little cooler story. And it'd be great for Disney because then you could really put Captain Hook and you can involve him into the ride at Disney. You could involve even, a little bit of the pirates into the Neverland.
It reinvigorates interest in the Peter Pan ride, although the Peter Pan ride still does very well. The lines for that ride are still really insane. But it does it helps out both franchises. Mm-hmm. But the thing is too, if you look at these Pirates movies, there's really not anything that's off limits. I mean, there was actually a pretty funny comment in there that said look, Davy Jones is an octopus right now. So why can't you have Captain Hook? Why not? Most of the comments, if you read through them, have been met with a lot of support. Mm-hmm. So I was actually pretty surprised because I thought Facebook was going to jump on me, but for the most part, a lot of support for the idea. I don't know. I'd like to see it happen. I've been a big fan of the franchise in general. I still think Curse of the Black Pearl is the best one. And strangely enough, on Stranger Tides was actually my second favorite one, but that's just because my love of Blackbeard blinds me to everything. So, and Ian McShane's interpretation of Blackbeard, I just thought was phenomenal. But this franchise needs a shot in the arm because the last couple of movies admittedly have not been great. Mm-hmm. And I just think somehow getting Captain Hook in there would be, and it would be so cool to see who they could cast as him. We could have all kinds of fun with trying to figure out who would be a great guy to cast.
Yeah. Could be fun. Could be fun.
And it opens the door to potentially a Hook franchise.
Yes. Well, that's it for our show today. We hope you had a good time listening. We will be doing the NFC picks on Monday. I'm pretty certain that we're going to film on Monday. I'm not going to be going on vacation. I should be here.
I'm actually on vacation, so we could go longer if we need to on Monday. I'm on vacation next week, so we could do longer shows if we need to.
Yeah, maybe go a little bit longer. We'll see. We got definitely the NFC doing that. We will probably talk a little Yankees.
We'll find another sorts topic.
MLB. We have multiple sorts topics that we can tap into. I know there's one that I want to do, and I'm gonna have to pause this real quick because there's 4 topics that I want to choose from and see which one that the fans like the best. And one of them is this, the Bri Man and his greatest hits.
It's not about how hard you can hit.
On the voting.
How hard you can get hit.
The Mount Rushmore of
forward. That's how winning this.
And then there's this.
He was doing his job.
And then there's this.
If Patriots fans were pizzas, they'd be cocksucker supremes.
And then, of course, my favorite.
Anytime Tom Brady walks on a field, you are well within your right to throw a big floppy on that field.
I think that's my favorite, too.
That's my favorite. So we'll have to possibly go over what everybody's favorite is. But we'll see how much time we have.
I think we need people to weigh in on that.
Yeah, so we'll do that. Though I've recorded his wonderful snippets from time to time.
Best of the Bri Man.
And put him on the show. We'll see how that goes.
Oh, Lord,
but we hope you had a good time watching, listening, however you did this. You can find our podcast anywhere podcasts are played. You tune in, iHeartRadio, iTunes, anyway, Stitcher, Spreaker, all those different ones. Find our podcast there. You can also find us on YouTube. I'll put a link probably somewhere, or you'll be able to see it if you follow us on Facebook or if you follow us on YouTube. You can just type in Sports and Sorts, and you'll find us. That's with the ampersand in there, Sports and Sorts. And then you can also find me on Twitter at Einhornusfinkel. Find the Bri Man.
You can find me on Twitter at _Bri_man, and then also a quick plug for we'll be having Tim Callahan back soon for some fantasy football.
That's going to be very soon, maybe as early as next Saturday. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. He's going to be on a Saturday morning, and we're going to be doing our fantasy football in 15 minutes. We're going to do our regular show. We will have him come in the middle of the shows on Saturdays, and he will give us his fantasy football picks for that Sunday. We're not going to be doing Thursdays anymore. We're not going to be doing but the Sunday and Monday, those are the important days. And
Indeed.
He'll be giving us our picks. And it'll be much more, it's going to be a much more focused show on he's going to give you kind of like 3 picks, and then he will take your questions. So we'll have, hopefully 5 minutes of picks, and then he'll have, questions for the rest of that. But the only way to do that is to email us at fantasyfootballinfifteen minutes, or that's at gmail.com, fantasyfootballinfifteen minutes at gmail.com, or you're going to have to put your comments. And but the first one that he'll do will be drafting and where he thinks you can get some people. And the people that he think are going to be a little bit higher ranked than you might think. So we'll see. He's going to be putting together a list of that. I'll let him kind of work on that. We didn't get any posts from him. What was his name? Like Laszlo or something like that?
Panaflex.
Yeah, Panaflex. Didn't get anything from that. I think he's a Monday watcher. So he'll be able to focus on that because Giants are going to be talked about on Monday. So, and he's a Giants fan. And we have his Giants talk where he said that one time where he did.
This isn't a homer pick or anything, but Eli Manning, big stock up.
Yeah, and I don't remember how he did that week, but for the most part, last week, Peyton Manning, pretty much last year was not a good year to be a Peyton Manning fan.
You mean Eli?
Yeah, Eli. It doesn't matter. Peyton Manning had a better year than Eli last year.
Did he, though? I don't know. He's associated with Papa John's. It's hard to say.
He's associated, but he sold his franchise.
Yes, he did.
But he's still with State Farm and Brad Paisley and making funny commercials. So.
Yeah.
Is it State Farm? Which one is it? Allstate?
No, it's not State Farm. Is it Nationwide?
Nationwide?
Nationwide, right? Isn't it the whole Nationwide is on your side?
Yeah. Insurance.
Yeah, there you go.
He kind of looks like an insurance salesman. All right.
Sure does.
Thank you for listening. We hope you had a good time listening. We'll see you on Monday.
Stay classy, Planet Blues.
Yeah. Who in your mind should play hook? Oh, we might have to name that. We'll come up with that soon. He said, "Who in your mind should play hook?"
I need some time to think about that. I need some time. I can come up with some candidates.
Okay, we'll do that.
Maybe even a Twitter poll.
Do it. We'll do it.
Do it.
He also put Nationwide because it's on your side.
Yes, it is. They are.
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
We'll see you on Monday talking about the Cowboys. That's his team.
Okay.
Right. Peace out. See you on Monday.
Bye.
You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.